Hello and welcome back to another Warlords of Draenor video. So first of all, at the top of the video, I just want to say thanks for all the new subscribers. Holy crap, loads of you have appeared within literally the last few hours. But anyway, let's get on to the actual video. I'm going to be talking about the clans. So when we say Warlords of Draenor, they're talking about a lot of the old Orcish clans from Warcraft 1 and 2, and how when Gouaches goes back, well, he goes back in time, but it's not a time travel expansion. Metzen, or at least the story team said, it's more the Dark Portal turns red, you go into it, and stuff's a little bit different. It's not actually a time travel thing. Outland isn't affected, and the timeline is not affected, so there you go for that. I suppose that's probably explained by the fact that Kairos is kind of bending time, not necessarily traveling through it. Perhaps, but anyway, the Warlords. So Gouaches goes back, and after he breaks out of prison, with the express want to reform a new horde called the Iron Horde out of the different clans which are on Old Draenor, because he sees them as being more pure orcs. He doesn't have to deal with the horde being full of trolls and elves and stuff like that. So, the actual clans. Well, the first one is the Frostwolf Clan. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of these guys. This is actually Thrall's ancestral clan, with his father Druitan being the clan leader. So yeah, it's located in Frostfire Ridge, which is one of the new zones to the top left of Draenor, and honestly, from what I've seen of the zone, it looks very cool. So, with these guys, Thrall deals with a lot of family business, including how sort of epic his parents are, and there's a lot more in the family, and one of the big key things is, will Druitan join the Iron Horde? Or will he not? Personally, I don't think he will, and the reason for that is because Druitan was perhaps more level-headed and a little bit less of a complete douche than a lot of the old Horde guys, and also he was very much against the whole demon blood thing, so Druitan probably quite a good guy. Now, the Frostwolf Clan actually serve as the Orc starter zone in a way. The Orc starter zone for the new expansion. At this point of the time, the Frostwolf Clan is still, it's kind of really just established in a way, and it's not really up and running at full capacity. So the Orcs come in there, and in the zone there's a big conflict between the Frostwolves and the Ogres, so it seems quite interesting how they're going to play out the Frostwolf Clan. The next clan is the Shadowmoon Clan, and you'll probably know two big guys from here, Ner'zhul and Gul'dan, very much in the story of the old Warcraft RTSs. But, of course, this is pre-demons and stuff like that. So their chieftain is Ner'zhul, and they're located in Shadowmoon Valley. Now, the Shadowmoon Valley you see here it's absolutely completely different from the one in Outland. It is full of rolling hills. It's always night in the zone, which is one of the more interesting things about it. And overall, it actually, to me, it looks fantastic. I'll put out some screenshots of it in the background. So these are a more quiet shamanistic tribe, and they do things like reading the stars and communing with spirits and that sort of thing. They're perhaps a little bit less ultra-violent than some of the other orcs. And a part of the leveling questing experience here is Gouaches is trying to find out, are these guys really worthy of the Iron Horde? So perhaps there'll be a little bit more player interaction with these guys, because they don't start off being bespoke bad guys. Next up, we have the Shattered Hand, and Kargath Bladefist is its chief. They are located in the spires of Iraq, which I believe is south. Not Iraq, Arak. I just realized they sound kind of close together, don't they? So anyway, they are orcs from other clans who are actually freed slaves of the ogres. This is really just after the dominance of the ogre empire, and the ogres enslaved a lot of them. Now, Kargath escaped from imprisonment, essentially. He used his prison slavery chains to strangle his ogre taskmaster, I guess. And to free himself from the chains, he cut his own arm off, which was quite the drastic measure. But it's nearly a symbol of freeing themselves from their chains, and what the guys in this clan do is they cut off a hand, and they replace that hand with some sort of melee weapon, so like a hook, or a blade, or an axe, or something like that. These guys are very dark, very bloody, very pain-minded. They're an extremely violent sort of group, and honestly, I believe that these guys would probably serve as berserkers in the army of the Iron Horde. Next, we have the Blackrocks, and Blackhand is the chief. Now, this is Blackhand before he ended up being the kind of weird puppet that he ended up being in the Warcraft RTSs, so he's perhaps a little bit more honourable, a bit less of a craven, so yeah, he's more of a solid guy. Now, these guys are the backbone of the Iron Horde. They have, this is like kind of before Blackhand has had an influence from Gul'dan, so he's really his own orc, essentially. Now, the Blackrock Clan are smiths, and when Gouaches comes from our time to theirs, he brings with him a whole bunch of schematics and plans for building new weapons for his Iron Horde, and the Blackrock Clan are going to be the guys who build these. Now, from what I know, there is currently going to be a raid and a dungeon in their zone, and their zone is Gorgon, which is in central Draenor. Next we have the Warsong Clan, and its clan chief is Gouaches. That is, of course, Thrall's father, and they are located in Nagrand. Now, Gouaches is a very angry orc, and one of the things about his character is his anger always seems to get the best of him. So yes, they are, one of the cool things here is you're going to get a lot of interesting interaction between Gouaches and his father, and in terms of what these guys are similar to, they're actually similar to the Mongol Empire from our time. One of their big things is they ride wolves into battle, so definitely interesting. These guys could nearly be the cavalry of the Iron Horde, but it will be interesting to see how Gouaches and his father kind of make up, or what that interaction is, because Gouaches is fundamentally ashamed of the fact that his father was one of the guys who drank the blood of Manaroth, and essentially is partially, it's his fault that the orcs were subservient to the Burning Legion for so long. And finally we have the Bleeding Hollow clan, and these guys are absolutely bloody mental, that's the first thing I'll say. Their chief is Kilrog Deadeye, and they are from the Tanan Peninsula, which is a jungle that would later become Hellfire. And just on that point, by the way, that just shows how much of a change there is. Hellfire used to be a jungle, so it's a bit crazy. Anyway, they are very deeply shamanistic, but it's a very dark and twisted form of shamanism. They're very bloody-minded, very twisty, and I suppose sort of generic trope evil in some ways, but in a very interesting shamanistic tribal form. They, one of the interesting things he said is that on the eve of becoming a chief, they go through this whole shamanistic ritual and they rip their own eye out to see a vision of their death, and the vision of their death partially governs how they rule the clan to war and battle, which sounds pretty damn cool, honestly. So with Bleeding Hollow, once again, them and I'd say the Shattered Hand are going to be the real crazy guys of this expansion when it comes to orcs. Now, in terms of other enemies or stuff, we don't know, but overall, that's the essential look at all the different orc clans which Chris Metzen talked about. I'm very excited. I think this expansion is going to be bloody fantastic. Just, the sheer scale of innovation and changes and interesting things they're doing is kind of mind-boggling, and Blizzard are the one group I would, well, trust to pull it off. The team's bigger now, and I'm pretty sure they'll pull it off. But anyway, that's it for this video. Stay tuned to the channel for constant BlizzCon footage. I'll be covering every single new feature, every new scrap of information will be up here as soon as possible, so do check it out over the weekend. And with that, I'll see you all next time.